Hello and welcome back to my channel Learn SST. This is probably my first lesson for grade 10 MSc from book 1, lesson number 1, How and Why We Study History. So let's get started. Let us see the lesson objectives. To understand the benefits of studying history, to know about some of the fields of the study of history. Before I proceed further, just a humble request as always to please subscribe to Learn SST. And let us see why we should study history, why the subject is said to be so important. So, what happened in the past at all? How can it benefit us today or in the future? Do events that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago have an effect on our lives in the present day? So these are some of the important questions which comes into our mind. And to answer all those questions, it is very, very important for us to study history. After all, the areas we study should be relevant to us. So obviously, if there are irrelevant things which are taught to us, then obviously we will not have any kind of interest in it. So we should be able to apply the information we learn about these areas to our own lives. So if it is relevant, then only we will find it interesting. Then only we will find it that okay, it is useful for us, and we are going to apply this particular information. We are going to learn it, and we are going to make our lives better. Academic fields need to have a purpose, and our study of them needs to have a practical use for us. That's very true. Academic fields, they have a purpose. Now, according to your interest, you choose a subject, you choose a field, and after completion of that particular course in that subject, you become or you follow that profession. So if you want to become a doctor, obviously the academic field is set in such a manner that you study science, then you take up the profession in the science, you go for further studies, and then you become a full-fledged doctor. So it has got a practical use. Now, learning from history. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So, this is the quote which is being said by this famous Spanish philosopher and poet George Santayana. He wrote this famous quotation in his book, The Life of Reason, in which the phases of human progress in 1905 and 1906 was written down. What do you think he meant? There are two interpretations over here. One interpretation of the quote is that if we do not understand what our past mistakes are and learn from them, then we will make the same mistake again. His quote was about more than personal mistakes. He was also referring to mistakes in history. In order to understand our current social, cultural, and political environment, we need to understand how it has developed through history, where our cultures and traditions have come from, how they have evolved over the centuries, how they have developed over the centuries, and what we can learn from them. So, this is one of the interpretations which comes out from this particular quote of the Spanish philosopher. Now, the next thing is that the job of the historian is to discover these historical facts and preserve them, collect them, and keep it with care, the information, so that it gives us a better rounded picture. That is the picture from all the sides of the evolution of global civilization. Perceptions, that is the viewpoints, change over time. For example, in ancient times, a civilization expanded into new territories by conquering and often enslaving, making the people of those lands a slave. And conquest by military force was common method of acquiring land and resources in the past. That was something which was not illegal, but now unprovoked military advance. That means it's a peaceful country and some other country just comes over and shows its military prowess, its military power, and tries to take over that particular nation. Then it is considered a violation, a breaking of the human rights law and a violation to the international law too. So earlier, the perception was you can just grab anybody's country or land or resources easily, and that was not said to be anything illegal. But now it is definitely a violation to human rights as well as a violation to international law. Now, let us see the branches of history. Now, as we have seen in the previous slides, that it is very, very important for us to understand and study about history. But how do we study history? What are the tools and the procedures do historians use? What do scientists do to discover, to interpret, and preserve historical objects and texts? The study of history has several branches. Scientists and historians work in specific fields of activity to make sense of the past. So there are various branches of history, and in which the scientists and historians are working. They are working in certain specific fields, and that is going to make sense of the past because they are going to join various blocks, and joining the various blocks, they are able to frame a story, which was the story of the past and which is a sensible story. Now, let us see the role of the plantology. In plantology, looks the deepest and the furthest into history. It is considered with discovering and cataloging plants, animals, and human fossils from millions of years ago. So, cataloging, which means that it is classifying or categorizing or making a list. Okay, and over here it is categorizing what? The plants, the animals, and human fossils from millions of years ago. Planetologists, they travel all over the world to locate. And what do they locate? They locate the fossils. Now, what exactly are fossils? Okay, so the dictionary meaning is the remains or the impression of a prehistoric plant or animal embedded in rock and preserved in a petrified form. So this is the meaning of a fossil. Now over here, slowly and steadily, when they locate the fossils, gradually developing a picture of what life was at different points in time. After the fossils are removed from the ground, they are studied in more detail. Now the bones and other organic matter may be processed under radiocarbon dating, and this radiocarbon dating helps us, that is a radiometric dating, helps us to examine the level of certain chemical particles present in the bones and fossils. And what does it determine? It helps them to come to certain conclusions, how long the fossil or how long the animal or the human being have existed. This process helps scientists to narrow down the period in which the animals or ancient people lived. A researcher carefully handles an artifact after recovery. Bones like this one are a direct link to history, and through advanced techniques, they tell us much about the past. So, in one of the lessons I have come through, that it was in U.A.E, the life of the people was like only 33 years for women and 36 years for men. So all this we come to know, and how do we come to know? This was prehistoric, before history was written down, and this is only with the help of this radiocarbon dating. So it is so helpful that they come to certain clear conclusions about the past. What exactly is archaeology? This field is specifically concerned with the development of human civilization and culture. Archaeologists travel to areas where ancient civilizations are known to have existed and dig. They dig the earth for human artifacts. Now, those articles could be like dishes, or it could be tools, it could be building materials, or it could be weapons. After discovering these artifacts, the job of the archaeologist is to classify them into various time periods and the civilizations of human history. At what time period and who were the people who used all these artifacts? Archaeologists use actual human products to support and extend existing textual information and provide some context to textual description and explanation of historical events. So, in this manner, the archaeologists are actually doing a great job because they are able to give us a clear picture of how life was in those days by studying those articles which they have dug out. In this way, the impacts of events such as eruption of a volcano where in Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, that is 79 years after the birth of Christ, can be evidenced, can be proved in a more direct and accurate way. In this sense, archaeologists help us understand more clearly how people lived in the past and what happened to them. So, archaeologists are doing a great job and they are actually using the human products, and with the help of human products they are able to build up the story and to predict how life was in those days, whereas the paleontologists, they are making use of human bones, fossils of animals, humans, or plants. So this is the difference between paleontologists and archaeologists. Now, what exactly is anthropology? Archaeology is essentially a branch of anthropology, the study of humanity. Anthropologists look at how humans have evolved slowly and steadily, how they have developed from time, that is, from the social as well as from physical perspective, from social viewpoint and from the physical stature of man. They examine and classify human artifacts to understand human societies and behavior. So, how the behavior has been evolved and how slowly and steadily the people's opinions and viewpoints change. Anthropologists look at how human communication has developed by studying the evolution of languages, and this evolution of languages is one of the branches of anthropology called as philology. They also study human cultures and social groups to gain a clear understanding of how civilizations emerged, how they flourished, how they spread, and how they declined. So, all this you come to know with the help of these anthropologists who study the human behavior socially as well as from physical perspective. Some other areas of anthropological research include art, history, demographics, that is the size of the population, and cultural psychology. How was the psychology, that is the viewpoints and the behavior of the people? It is important for historians and scientists from multiple areas of specialization to coordinate their efforts to identify gaps in knowledge. That's very true. They just cannot come to certain conclusions only by studying the artifacts or only by studying the bones or fossils. But if all these studies are clubbed together, then we get a better picture of the past. So, obviously, all this should be clubbed together, anthropology, planetology, as well as archaeology. And these branches, when are clubbed together, then only the gaps between them could be filled and we get a better rounded picture. In this way, a clearer and more accurate picture of human society and how it has transitioned. Transition means how the changes have come over time can be constructed. Archaeologists digging in Egypt for ancient remains, technological advancements are continually helping us add to our store of knowledge as well. For example, virtual reality simulators can be used to turn ancient ruins into active, living communities. Satellite imagery can show us new areas to dig and in incredible detail. So, all these things, if they are brought together, the scientific and technological advancements which man is doing, and since the time man has come on this earth, he's only progressing. And today, due to science and technology, we are just, like sky's not the limit. So, over here, there are various stimulators, like how you have the virtual reality stimulator. So the ancient ruins can look very real, or if you have the satellite imagery, so that helps us to come up with the new archaeological sites wherein the archaeologists can go and they can dig and get some more information about the past. Then ground penetrating, I put up the picture over here. It's a radar, and this radar machine can pinpoint the exact location of the buried object in a way that saves more time and money than ever before. So these tools are helping us, and these tools are helping us to bring history to life in a new and exciting ways. So all the, if you see, history and science are so closely related. It's just like a hand and glove, and we are making good use of historians and the scientists, and they are continually, they are trying to get more and more knowledge, and they are able to study and get better picture of the past. This is activity one, very much from the textbook, please go through. Activity two, again from the textbook, please go through. This is activity three, a discussion activity. I've written down certain points over here, what I felt was right. You can add some more points of your own. This is activity four, think deeper. So here I come to the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching my channel Learn as a Steve. If you really liked it, please give me a like, share it with your friends, relatives, and with your classmates so that they get benefited by my videos. And see you next time. Till then, take good care. Bye bye.